I got another tomato lover in here. Let me tell you something. This brother is a tomato lover. And he's got 2 little tomatoes. Are we on? We on. Okay. Listen there. Listen. Sammy's Avenue Eatery. I am so excited. Look, I'm just going to tell you. This is what a half of a Sammy sandwich look like right there. And my brother over there, he's the master chef. Master chef. He went to France, I think England and Germany to learn how to make this sandwich. Now, our little Avenue Eateries are in the house over here. Our little Avenue Eateries, and we got mom and dad over here. We're going to talk about, they just voted. Today's the day, y'all. After today, you will know who your president of the United States of America is. Will it be Hillary? Will it be Trump? You will know tonight before you go to bed. Tonight before you go to bed, unless there's some kind of strange count. We will know who our president is. And you know, guess what? A pioneer just walked in the house. Now he's gonna have his coffee. I think he's going jogging. He runs about 10 miles a day. And this brother is a freedom fighter. Don't call him none of them other names. He's a freedom fighter. Spike Moss is here, and you know I gotta stop him and talk to him. But right now we got a family over here. We're gonna, a prophet, good to have you in. Good to have you this morning. It's wonderful to be on the show. We're going to talk to the Father, and we're going to find
I'm excited about what we're going to hear from the community, because this is what it's all about. Community View, Tuesday new, right here at Sammy's Avenue Eatery. And as you can see, the little ones enjoy it too. Boy, they've got their books and their colorings, and the family is right here.
So we got, well, your kids, give me their names.
My name's Corey.
And what's the kids' name?
Oh, this is Mr. Ames, and this is Cecilia.
And this your wife?
That's my wife, Alicia, yep.
Okay, so how'd you feel? You went out to vote, you're excited. What's your feelings right now?
You know, I feel great. I think, like, today's going to be a great day regardless of the outcome, because we live in a great country and because we serve a great God. So I was lucky to get to go to a place to vote and exercise my vote with my family. So I was thankful for that today.
Okay, Mom. Mom, you're doing double duty. You're voting and you're playing mom as usual. How's it feel?
Fine. I don't know. I would prefer somebody else to vote for besides the 2 main candidates, but you know, we go with the flow.
Vote for Jesus.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right.
There you go. I'll vote for Jesus next time.
You know, and I think that's right. Come here, brother. Let's talk about that. Let's just talk about this get out the vote situation. And come on over here. We're going live on SB Barber Morning Show. Okay. Are you helping to get the vote out right now?
Yes, actually I'm with Minnesota Voice. We have a campaign called We Vote Minnesota. It's with over 30 organizations of color. So we work in all of greater Minnesota, Twin Cities, Indian reservations, down south in Minnesota. And right now we actually have canvassers and phone bankers throughout the Twin Cities of Minnesota doing calls for the last 4 days of elections. And yeah, so it's great. We just... last night we just reached over 6,000 people, not just in calling, but also in door knocking and so forth. So it's a collaboration of communities of color coming together and commonality of issues, but it's all nonpartisan, so it's not for any political party, but it's about empowering people in our communities to go vote. And especially those that are felons and off paper, they don't think they can vote. Actually, they can vote. Different states have different laws, and in Minnesota is if you're off probation, you can vote.
Well, let me ask you this. It seems and appears to me we lost a lot of energy from when Obama was running. There was so much energy in the air, so much hype. We were training young people all over the place months and months before the election. I didn't feel that kind of energy this time. What happened?
So I think a lot of it is believing that Obama is going to fix everything. But a lot of it is, in order for Obama or any kind of president to make a difference, you have to also select your local officials, your senators, your governors, and so forth. But also impact what the president can do to a certain level. And that's what we're focusing on this election cycle. It's not just the presidential stuff, but it's also your local and statewide elections. So your senators, your city councilwomen, your representatives that also affect policies and for education and jobs and so forth. So it's a lot of making it a personal connection to the issues. And I think when you have a personal connection to the issues, people are willing to get involved instead of just hearing the same old speech and rhetoric.
We got one of our Somalian brothers in the house.
Yeah.
How you doing, brother? Let's talk about a little bit of how you feel about getting out to vote and the Somalian community. What's going on?
Hi, my name is Mustafa Jamali, and I'm part of the coalition. This organization called Khaire Solutions, and we've been traveling the state for the past 2.5, 3 weeks, registering people to vote. We registered 255 East Africans in Greater Minnesota, in Rochester, St. Cloud, in the metro area, Eden Prairie, Edina. There's a large growing suburban East African population. And we know, as much as we do partisan work and for this coalition, but we know what the results are. Right, when X party wins the legislature and we see those resources cut, there are real things that we're talking about, like housing, healthcare. These are, your pocketbook kind of situations. So it's very important for people to go out and vote, regardless of who are they voting for. Of course, like I come, speaking as Mustafa now, I come from a democratic tradition. I've been voting for DFL members, and the DFL isn't the greatest party, but it's like what we have to work with, and we're trying to organize them and get them to change and whatnot. But so that's and also unfortunately, Mr. Trump was in town recently and said the Somalis are problematic terrorist people who are kind of like a social ill to Minnesota, when we know that's the exact opposite. In fact, the airport that he was at was run by East Africans.
And that's the same thing they said about us.
Yeah.
That African Americans are the problem.
And Latinos.
And Latinos.
We're all rapists and murderers.
They said all that. That's absolutely true. And so we know that if he feels that way, we're gonna have some problems with him, right?
That's right.
We're gonna. Have you met a legend here, Spike Moss? Do you know Spike? He's a living legend. He is like.
I serve his coffee.
Yeah, you serve his coffee.
He gives me a good tip.
He's bigger than Michael Jackson. He's bigger than any of that stuff. You're bigger than Mike, Spike. You're my hero. How you feeling about the election? Have you voted yet?
I'm getting ready to. It's very important. Our people have to remember that it's a privilege for white people. We had to earn it. And if you remember back in the day, there was a sister named Fannie Lou Hamer, Ruville, Mississippi. She organized all the sharecroppers, and they're the ones that fought back for our right to vote. And back then, if you met in a church, they would burn the church, hang the preacher. Met on the farm, and burn the farm owner. But yet they went forward. And their battle out of Sun County, what they call the Mississippi Delta, was a battle that won our right to vote. And so ours is paid in blood. And those that went to jail and those that suffered, we paid for our right to vote. Never take it for granted. You might not like the candidates, but never take it for granted, because it can always be worse than it is. They can always take us backwards. As a matter of fact, the last time they took Fannie Lou to jail, they took brothers out of their cells and beat her all night long. They say you could hear her holler all through the courthouse. But years later, she died from that beating. Well, ours is dipped in blood. Go vote. It's very important for us to vote. And let me say this too, understand this too. All they need is the president. They have an agenda that is very, very negative. They just didn't have a president that wouldn't veto it. They knew Obama would veto it. But what they want is, they want welfare gone. There'll always be somebody who needs it. There might be somebody who abuses it, but there'll always be somebody who needs it. They want general assistance gone. They want public school to be paid for. So mothers that can't pay daycare have to pay for their kids to go to public school. They want college to be based on, do you have the credit or you don't go. They want Social Security gone. They want rent assistance gone. They want the food card gone. Of course, they want medical gone. So we got too much at risk to act like it's not important. It is really important to us.
Wow, one of the things I wanted to say is that I believe that the unity that you had the chance to see when you were growing up, you talk about it a lot. What happened to us? And I'm always looking for that unity. And I remember when I was selling drugs and I was doing all that, and I said, I can't wait to get on the other side. I'm ready to do right. And then on the other side, though, there were still some problems. And I learned that I was naive to that. I was hip to the street. But I was naive to the nonprofit side and all that hustle and bustle and backdoor stuff that goes on. What happened to the unity? I really missed that. What happened?
Well, what happened was, we were at the peak of the movement, and what they didn't want to happen is for the young people to leave the civil rights movement and go to the Black Power movement, which would empower us. See, civil rights said we want to fight for the right to sit next to a white person in a restaurant. The Black Power movement said we want to own a restaurant. And they didn't want that to happen, so what they did from the East Coast to the West Coast is saturate our community with drugs. The most dangerous drugs you could ever have. The heroin at that time, we were ODing in large numbers. We were going to jail and dying in the streets. And so your soldiers that were coming up never got up. And then the movement itself began to die down as you took our leaders and you jailed them, you defamed them, you put lies and rumors out about them, and then our people step back and don't go forward, and the next generation didn't learn nothing.
Wow. See, now that's the kind of stuff you're not going to hear on Channel 5, Channel 4, CNN. You're not going to hear that. What Spike is talking about is stuff that you're not going to hear, because everybody, the young kids say, well, y'all ain't coming together. How are we supposed to come together? How are we supposed to come together and stop clicking and banging? I was in a room of young gang members last night, and we asked them, who's your big homies, and who's really instructing y'all? You know what they all said? They were all 14, 15, and 16. They said, we don't have big homies.
Nope.
We don't have nobody telling us what to do. We do what we want to do. That's why when we go shoot people, we don't care about the families and the babies and the grandmothers. We just shoot. And so I let them know right then. Now you do have a big homie. You got somebody that can mentor you and help you and steer you and guide you in the right way. And they were glad to hear that somebody's going to stand up and do that. We need more men to stand up. We've got a lot of men in this community, Spike. What's stopping us from standing up?
What's stopping us is a lot of those men came from single-family homes. A lot of them don't know how to be men, so they know how to give back to another young man. A lot of these young men you're talking about don't have father figures, and their family is really not the way you think it would be.
Yeah.
And so the knowledge and things that you received and I received, you always knew when you were right and wrong. They might not. We were forced to go to church. We didn't have a choice. That was mama's decision. We were forced to go to school. That was mama's decision. We were supposed to do chores. That was mama's decision. When you don't have a right or wrong, a left or right in a child's life, this kind of confusion can happen. And so, yes, the black male returning back home is more important now than ever before. But you have to keep in mind, when have we had a generation so saturated with drugs, with alcohol, going to jail, dying in the streets? So we're looking for almost like a genie in the bottle to save him, to get him back to his sons and daughters. But without him, they will continue to go down because the man is the leader of the family. I say all the time, DJ, and I mean this, it is not normal for a black female to go 30 to 40% of her life without a normal relationship with a male. There's consequences for that. You're talking about the consequences.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, we're here with Spike Moss live at the morning show with Prophet Barbara Starling. And, you know, it's good to be here. My brother, man, it's so good to see you. I know that you done changed your life and turned your life around. Spike, this is one of those brothers, man, that had an opportunity to turn his life around and do something different, man. He stopped going to jail. He stopped getting high. He stopped doing all that. He got married. He's got a family now. He's doing all the right things. How does it feel?
It feels good to give yourself a chance, because that's what it's about. It's not about, you know, history plays a part in everything, but I'm a firm believer in reminiscing on the past, the better for my future. I can't change my past if I wanted to, so I live for today and try to make a better future for me and my family. And it's just like you say, you know, I was a product of the street, so I bought into that. But I had a loving mother and a loving father, but the choices I chose was I portrayed images that I seen on the street, and I didn't know who I was. So it took me maybe 48 years to come to realization, and I'm 53 to this day, to say that, you know, choices play a big part in our lives. And it's like the kids on the street. I came from the street. I ran the street. And, you know, I was a part of telling everybody what to do, not following. So my suggestion to the streets is, you know, they lost, man, and they don't have no help, because we come to the visuals, we come after everything done happened. That's not the solution. The solution is we need to get out here with these young kids and try to make an opportunity for the guys who don't have a GED, ain't went no farther than the 8th grade, but they can't get into a program because they don't fit the criteria. But we'll take $37,000 and put them in the penitentiary instead of trying to build a place where they can learn a trade, a place where they can be embraced. Because if I give them no choice, they're not going to stop eating because I say stop shooting. So their choice is to resolve to gang banging, carrying guns. They have no skills. They have no knowledge of survival. They think that if I take something or I hurt somebody, that's my only alternative. Ignorance means I have no knowledge of what's going on. And if I have no knowledge of what's going on about life, I don't care about life. So that's why it's so many kids shooting each other in the street. It's because they have no direction. They trying to protect something that don't even belong to them. And it's like a black kid to get killed by police, and we'll say Black Lives Matter. All lives matter. But the thing that I don't like that's unjust is if a police kills somebody, he still get paid leave. If I kill somebody, I go to jail to the outcome. But you know, it's neither here nor there with none of these issues. We need solutions. Everybody can talk about this and everybody can point a finger because everybody's chief critic because we have our own opinion. But what we have to do is just like you say, they run the street, they stand on the street. That means we got to get on the street like VJ. We got to put some hours in, but VJ can't do it by himself because he can't be 4 places at one time because it's 4 sides of town. So what we have to do is come out of our comfort zone. Like they say, you preaching to the choir. You can keep on preaching to the choir, but what about the ones who lost? Jesus said, I came to save which was lost. He didn't say I came to condemn the world. He said I came to save the world. So those are the things that we have to do to give back to our community because it's our community. We can beat ourselves up, we can go talk to the politicians, but it don't start with them. It starts with the guys who live in this same neighborhood who say, why don't y'all put the guns down for one day and just sit around and think about your nieces, your nephews, because they can be one of them victims. Nobody snitches because that's a code they was taught. But when it happens to them and something happens in their family, now it's a tragedy. But it's a tragedy all the time. But it's the responsibility and the effort that we take forth towards it to get our community back. There's no respect. There's no morals. We tell old people, got that loud as soon as you walk by the street. There's no respect for my grandmother when she get out the car. There's no respect for my mother, my sister, my brother. But it all comes from if the father and the mother is in the street, what can the kids wind up but in the street? And a lot of people don't understand, like I say, man, we always talk about the problem. We need to sit down and get a solution. Just like they give funds to build a playground, they give funds to build a highway. They can give funds to give people a chance that never had a chance because they didn't accomplish nothing because this is all they knew. So that's why they say the inner city is this and the inner city is that. They label us and we buy into that because that's the image that's portrayed to us. Our neighborhood could be like their neighborhood. Ain't no speed bumps in their neighborhood. They in our neighborhood because we flee from the police when we shouldn't have to flee. We should be served and protected by the police. But we done bought into this, I'm a snitch and I'm not going to tell on nobody, I'm going to carry it to the grave. And so if you have that mentality, that's what you pass down to the next generation. And by our generation being older than the generation that's coming up, it's a lost generation because lack of knowledge. If I have no knowledge, I can get no understanding. If I have understanding in what I do, I can acknowledge my wrongs. And that's why they're so quick to justify their means. See, if I comply, I don't have to justify because I've done everything that I needed to do to get to where I need to be. But just like I say, you know, and you know, like they say about the president of this, the president of that, I believe in Jesus Christ. He said all of this was going to happen. So if I believe what he said, this has to happen, and I have no power and control over it, but I still can voice my opinion. I still can be a critic of it, like everybody else, because everybody has their opinion. But what we have to do is, we have to stand firm. And see, I'm a firm believer in I come before you, because it comes before in the alphabet. And that's what we got to do. We got to make ourselves stronger to help them. We can't keep criticizing and beating them up because that's all they heard all their life. They need somebody to embrace them and give them a scenario. Say, do you really think this is your best option? You don't even have to answer the question. Just go back and ponder it. And you might hit somebody. And the person that you might hit might be a person that can alter 10 people's lives versus take 10 people's lives. And you know, like I say today, I've been struggling all my life. But my past, I live with it. I'm not ashamed of it. And I tell people every day, I'm at peace where I'm at today. Because I try to do the right things for the right reasons. When I used to tell people, I don't care. And that's what I bought into. I didn't care. But you have to care about something. And everybody respects something. Even the guy who tell you, man, you can't tell me what to do. I can stand where I want to. But there's somebody that he'll listen to. And if I convey the message and it passes on, he might get touched too. But you know, just like I say, you know, my name is Anthony Brown, and it's an honor and a pleasure to be here to stand with VJ and Spike Moss. I remember when I went through Turning Point and he was speaking, and you know everybody, oh, he militants, he this and he that, and I was like, I'm listening to the message. I ain't trying to worry about his background, because I got a background too, and everybody has a background. But we quick to judge other people's instead of trying to embrace and hug people, because that's what we need. We don't need to be towed down no more. We've been towed down all our life. Like Spike said, we couldn't use the bathroom. We couldn't get on the bus. All the people that died for that, you know, these young kids, they don't even recognize Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, none of these people, because they have no knowledge of them. Because as far as they went to school, as soon as they got to 8th grade, I'm not going to school no more, because their mama ain't there, their father ain't there. So where else can they wind up but in the streets? And the streets is what's taking our children away. They are our future. That's scary if you look at it. How can I say my future is put in the hands of a guy who won't pull his pants up? All of them wearing dreadlocks like they Rastafarians and they black. But that's the culture and the cult that they done bought into in our neighborhood because of the images that's been portrayed, and they don't know who they are, so they keep on carrying this image as I'm hard, I'm this, I'm that, or whoever they want to be. But find out who yourself is, because after I check me and clear me, my conscience is not to pick up her purse when she forget it. Take her phone and put it in my pocket, and I know it don't belong to me. I have some morals and some values.
Man, let me just tell you what a message from my brother. Man, we're at Sammy's Avenue Eatery live, where anything could happen. Anybody can show up, and they do, and that's what we do here. Providence Star, we're going to go back to Spike, because I got some more stuff we're going to talk to Spike a little bit about, and get some of this history, because Mahmoud El-Kate, oh yeah, Spike, we need you back over here. Mahmoud El-Kate brought a professor in, and one of the questions I did ask, and I asked Spike too, about that, you know, we have always been entrepreneurs, and I remember that we had a lot of black businesses on Broadway. I remember, Spike, back in the 70s and 80s, that we had a lot of black businesses on University. We had a lot of black businesses on Lake Street, and we had a lot, and we don't even have one. So we had Lucille's Kitchen, I think it was, and then we had Annie's Cafe in St. Paul. But we have really never had a black-owned restaurant that's been able to sustain through all them decades, like other states, you know, Atlanta. What is it about?
It's the same story you just told you. Once the family is destroyed, the value of the family is destroyed. Remember that all those black business people had families, so their sons learned from their fathers and continued the families. When they died out, and unfortunately before they died out, when I was a boy and I came here from Missouri just like you, on Ocean Highway where the library is, on both sides of the street as you go down towards downtown, that was all black-owned businesses all the way down. We owned everything. What happened was the city of Minneapolis told a lie that they're going to run the freeway through there. They knocked down all of our businesses and then run the freeway to the east, and then never went over there. The next generation never came back and put nothing back. So now you need him to feed you and clothe you. We had all of that. Matter of fact, BJ, you wouldn't know this, but we had more than 8 clubs here to just socialize in. Show me where we got one now, except for St. Paul and Arnellis. So until you get back to his point, you got to realize you're a man and you got to do something. You got to go forward. You got to make a way. You got to be a pioneer. When you strip them of everything, and that's the point he's making, when you strip them of everything, what will the new value system be? You know, as a boy, and probably your generation too, our symbols was like Chicago Cub hats, Cleveland Brown shirts. Okay, look at his symbols since 1985. It's skull and bones, symbols of death. We never had symbols of death on our t-shirts and our caps and our rings and our bracelets and necklaces. We love life. We didn't want to die. He has comfort with death. And he wears symbols of death all over his jackets and everything. If you don't love yourself and love life, think about it. You don't have a parent to guide you, to teach you. You don't have no spiritual background, no foundation. And then what he's saying about being left in the street. You remember when I did gang summits? The majority of them wanted to die. And I went all the way across the country. The majority of them didn't want to live because they didn't see any reason. What's here for me? And when the men don't show him what's here for me, and I step out in the street, if I see an older brother, I'm going to think he's correct because he's the only one talking to me. And now I got a friend too. And in my mind, he's showing me love if he buys me a hamburger. So I might follow him to hell and back. So it's important that people like yourself, and I say this to our listeners, people like yourself that care about our people, They got to back people like you who are willing to do the social service programs that he's talking about to put back into our people that love and that understanding. But every time you get close to lifting us and somebody don't want you lifted, I'm not going to fund VJ. What VJ is doing don't work. No, not if you're going to save me. See, the Honorable Louis Farrakhan is hated. But look at all the men he took out of prison that ain't never going back. Look at all the men he prevented from going to prison. Look at all the men you took out of the street in that condition. And what they don't want is for you to be successful at saving and lifting a people that they don't want saved and lift. So when you hear him, this is the spirit that has to live that he don't want. He wants all of them to feel their throwaways. And I'm saying this to your listeners, and I'm not plugging you personally, I'm plugging what you do personally. Exactly. That if we don't understand the importance of getting that mind right and getting that heart right, then we'll never build what you're talking about. And we'll never do it for each other. And so the values of the slave system was this, BJ, and never forget this. Love, fear, respect thy master, hate thee and those who look like thee. And guess what value system we carrying around?
Wow. That's exactly what we're carrying around. And I think, it took me a long time to understand that. I was so frustrated, so disappointed that we had to live like that. I was so excited to be in this world of giving back and doing the right thing. But it really frustrated me that we were hating on each other. I didn't understand it. People would come up to us and say stuff that was just crazy. It was hateful stuff. And I didn't get it. I thought, where is that love? How do we get those
Here's what you
values?
missed. They taught us to be jealous and envious of each other. If you went to see the movie Django, if you didn't, go see it.
Yeah.
When the brothers seen him on that horse, they called him the N-word. And they said, what he doing up on that horse? We have never wanted any of our people to be successful. That's the crab and barrel thing that you've forgotten. That they taught us to pull each other down, to stop each other, to hold each other down. Always be envious and jealous of each other. Always criticize and ridicule anything you get because you don't deserve it because I don't have it.
That's crazy. We're Sammy's Avenue Eatery having a great time with my brothers, man. It's been great. A real plum pleasing pleasure, man, to be here. I'm going to tell you something. Get out and vote. You got time. Make sure it happens. Make sure you get that vote out. Vote for the candidate of your choice. You know what you got to do. You know what you want. You know what you don't want. So if you don't vote, it's a vote for the other person. If you do vote, it's a vote for the person that you feel is best to be the president of the United States.
And
Obama, thank you, Obama.
Stay right there. We're going to come right back. We want to at least acknowledge our sponsors of the SB Barber Morning Show. That's Sammy's Avenue. Sammy's Avenue Eatery, along with Tri Construction and Mad Dads. Now, these are organizations that hopefully the name rings a bell to you. You can easily look their information up, and they are about partnering, they are about people, and they are about projects. And so we want to make sure that you understand that. Come on down to Sammy's Avenue Eatery. It starts getting popping around here at lunchtime, etc., and people are on the go. But the information that you've gotten today, it is priceless. You got a mini men's workshop, a mini overnighter. You got a one-on-one all about fathering. But I'm going to tell you the thing that stood out to me, and I'm talking to queens now. The thing that stood out to me is this: go get your family. Get your family. Sometimes, Mom, we have this ability to set the tone in an atmosphere. And so what I'm saying to you, you must begin to walk it out differently. You must begin to change the tone in your home. Get your children and gather them and remind them of how important it is for them to know one another, support one another, but also do not cover up when there is an issue. Mm-hmm. If there's an issue, don't cover it up. Bring it to that family and look at it like this. You have just heard the names of organizations here in the community that you can reach out to. If there's an issue and you know that it is crime related and you are shaking in your boots right now, contact one of the agencies, one of the representatives, any of these men. Contact them and say, I need to talk. We can't continue this way. It will make a difference. It'll make a difference, but it's going to make a change. Spike, did you have something you were getting ready to say?
Well,
As it relates to, as I said, go get your families.
well, you know, I've been
your
saying to
families.
people for a long time, I don't expect everybody to be a hero and run in the street and deal with gangbangers when you're scared to death. Just go get yours. That's one less kid we have to worry about. Get yours somewhere where you can get some help, where you can save his life. Because once those felonies mount up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 felonies, what he spoke about, your chances of having and being anything are gone. The other thing to what you said is, when a mother's cleaning that bedroom and you find that gun, don't bring it to him and give it to him and say, get this out of my house. Don't bring that bag of dope saying, what does this do in my house, and give it to him. You take charge of it, and then you deal with your child. But when you ignore it, it's going to be right there in that house. And to the day you get that knock on the door, your son is either gone to jail or dead in the streets. So just get yours. Your point is very valid. I've been saying it for years. Just get yours.
All right, and give them one thing. I want you to repeat that one more time, because when that person is ready, even if mama has to get him by his ears, whatever it takes, or dad, let's not, because there are some fathers out here that went through some stuff, they even went to jail, and they're ready to raise their families up again. And for the most part, that son or that daughter may be bucking it because their attitude is, yeah, you're a loser, I got this and I'll win. Let's not even talk about that today. We're talking about bona fide solutions. If you're ready to make the move to get it right, Spike made a point. He said, those charges, those years are building up on you. All right, so they need to know. I want the three of you to give instructions about that, on that point, because it is building up. While you're hiding out, it's building up. But some of you are ready to come in. All right, let's start with Spike. How do I come in?
Well, first of all, you got to take a good look at yourself like he did. Come clean with yourself. Am I going the right way or not? Secondly, look at every service available to you that will help you and have the nerve to go. Thirdly, don't get hung up on your child bucking up on you. Remember, you're the parent. Take the position of the parent. Make them and make sure they respect you as a mother or father. It's not about what type of mother or father you are. You are the minute you made them. So you take the position and make sure, yes, I did this, but this is what I want you to do. And you be firm when you do it, but you don't back up. This is how you do it.
I say, you know, my mother taught me that when I used to come to her, I used to always tell her what my brother did. And she said, you never told me what you did, so you must be a saint. So I learned and took that experience and I used it in my life, even though I did a lot of bad things and whatever the case may be. But you have to have ownership of what you did. And understanding is the best cliche in the world. United we stand, divided we fall. In all things, always remember that. That's why we so separated, because we quick to point the finger at everybody else instead of holding up to our bargain. And the part about children doing all these crimes and mothers looking